Everybody, this is Matthew Poes with Poes Acoustics. So what would you guys think if I was to do videos on topics other than home theaters? My wife's joked that I should do like a cooking channel because I like to cook and I'm not bad at it. I probably have professional chefs that watch my channel who would disagree, but I do have a pretty good dinner party. So that isn't what I want to do though. We do have an idea for doing a video where I would bring in some of my friends to come over for dinner and I would kind of cook for them. I stole it from a Netflix show that I really like, and we would just talk shop while I cook a meal. I think it would be a fun way to do it. It's a different way of, like, instead of talking heads or like the FM radio kind of approach, this would be like a different way of having that conversation, and I think it would be dynamic and interesting, and who doesn't like a good meal, right? However, so I just got a new car, and our approach had long been, I used to be not the most financially responsible person when I was younger, and I think most young people aren't, right? I don't know how many 12-year-olds there are going out there buying stock and investing their stuff, so I used to waste money like every young kid did, and I did that up into my 20s, and then I got better for a bit. I met my wife, who was the one who, even when we were dating, was like, you need to improve your finances. And I didn't have like a lot of debt or anything, don't get me wrong, but I was the kind of person like who, if I wanted something, I would buy it, even if I couldn't realistically afford it. And it just like there were smarter ways to use my money. I got to a point where I really should have been putting more money into retirement. I just felt like I was young and it was so far off, and I didn't understand the effect that it would have, and I didn't do that. And so, now I'm good now, but I needed to catch up basically because of that. She made me much more responsible, as many wives do. And we had been buying very practical cars, and I had wanted an impractical car for a while, even though it's a waste of money. So the BMW X2 that we had, it got old enough. It was about 6-7 years old. The mileage was actually not very high at all. We didn't drive it very much, but it had started to have so many problems that it was getting to be very expensive to keep. So we decided to get rid of it. Basically something happened to it, and it was like, okay, that's it. I don't want to know what next is going to go wrong with this car after this one. And so I had such a bad experience too. I actually like BMWs quite a bit, but I had such a bad experience with the dealer and such a bad experience with the repair process for it that I decided I don't want to own another new BMW. I used one where I could go to an independent shop, because I did find a local shop that seems pretty good. Might have been okay, but I would want something under warranty at this point. And then you have to deal with the dealer, and I didn't like the dealer. So I decided no more BMWs. I also wanted an electric car. I've wanted one for a while. It's not for the reasons that many push. I'm not saying that I hate our environment and I don't want to make things better. It's just that isn't the driving force for me. It's just that some of them, at least, are really fast, and I always have liked fast cars. They also have some convenience factors for people with my lifestyle. So I think if you do a lot of long distance driving where you need to be able to go hundreds and hundreds of miles every day, electric car maybe isn't the best solution for you. But in my case, we don't drive more than maybe 20 miles a day, 25 miles, something like that. I could look at what we've done the last couple of days since we picked up this new car, but that's about it. And so what was happening was often my wife would go and do her trips with the car. We have two cars, but we were using one with the kids quite a bit. And and then I would do our trips, and then the car would basically be out of gas, and it's like, I got to go take the kids 10 miles away to a soccer field, and there's no gas in the car. And I'm not going to make it. And now we're going to be late for soccer because I got to go fill up with gas before I get there. So I just thought, if we had an electric car, you just plug it in every night, and then the car is charged up, and you can go do your 20 or 30 miles, whatever you do every day, without issue. We also fill up each car about once a week, or we have been lately. I shouldn't say that. The one car we were filling up once a week, the other car maybe every other week. And so with the electric car thing, it is a lot cheaper in that regard. I'm not particularly concerned with the costs, but it is nice to save money where you can, right? So we did the math. It should be a couple $1,000s a year in savings on this car and gas, and that seems nice. So because of the finance deals that they were offering and the tax incentives and everything else, I went and got a Tesla Model 3 Highland, the new one, Performance. So the top version with the white interior, with the performance seats, and the big wheels with the low profile tires and the whole deal. It's got the Brembo brakes. Why? Because I told you I wanted an impractical car. I used to have a red sporty car for a while that I enjoyed and then had to get rid of it because it didn't make sense in Chicago. It actually got hit. It was so bright and attractive apparently that somebody decided they just needed to, it was parked and somebody ran into it and basically totaled it. So this is my opportunity to have that again. I think it's a good car for the kind of stuff I do because I do trips out. Like the farthest I typically go would be like Orlando or Miami. And those are a couple hour drives, but 3-4 hours potentially. But you can do them easily because it's like you charge up, you drive for a couple hours, you charge up for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then you go the rest of the way, and then on the way back. So if I go to Miami, I charge up halfway, and then I get to Miami, and then I can actually come all the way back, and I'd still have half a battery. So it's kind of a cool way to do it. Or I could charge on the way back too and have even more battery, like 2/3 or something, or not charge up to 100%, for instance, which is not great for the battery. For Orlando, you have to charge both ways because it's farther away. But basically same thing. Like I go, and then when I get kind of halfway between Tampa and Orlando, I find a charging station. I charge for 20 minutes. I go to Orlando, and then on the way back, I stop at the same charging station, charge for 20 minutes, and go home. And plenty of battery to then plug it in and be good to go in the morning. And that's like as far as I would ever drive. So the car seems like perfect for that. So I've had it for a few days, and it just started giving me ideas of like other things I could do content on. So for instance, I could measure the noise floor of the car when we're driving, because there's a lot of talk about that. And what I realized is most of the people that are doing these measurements and are talking about these issues are not actually sound experts in any way, shape, or form. And the equipment they're using and the methods they're using may not be accurate. So it'd be interesting to do some proper measurements. And I could do it maybe like we have a Honda Odyssey van, and then we have this Tesla Model 3. So I could go drive somewhere and do like a little loop, capture SPL data using, I have really high-end equipment I could use for this, and then do it in the other car, do the same loop, and then compare the data. Maybe I do it 3-4 times or something, and then do a video on the noise floor of an electric car versus a gas car, see how they compare. I suspect the electric car, the Tesla, will be much quieter, even though that's one of the things that has a reputation of not being very good at, having a lot of road noise. I think the issue is masking, but so I'm curious. It'd be kind of interesting to figure that out. It's got I think it's 17 speaker sound system in it, right? So I could review that, I could measure it and test it out. I've done some listening on it. I'll reserve my opinion until I have more time with it, but it didn't blow me away. But I think it'd be interesting to do a review on that. I'm not going to do a review on I could do a review on the car if you want, but I'm not going to do a whole technical review on the car's performance. I'm not going to do like 0 to 60 times. I don't want to get myself arrested to do a review or anything like that. But I just thought it'd be fun. And who knows, maybe if this works out, we could do more videos like that and other stuff. But if you guys think this would be a cool topic, I'll put the effort into it. If you guys, some of you have said before, kind of like a stay in your lane type of thing. If you really would have zero interest in watching a video on something that isn't AV related, then all right, maybe we don't do it. I will say, because it happens sometimes, remember, just because you feel that way doesn't mean everybody else does. So sometimes we'll ask these questions and like 9 out of 10 people will say, oh my God, I would love that, please do that. And then like one person doesn't. And then they get all angry that I didn't listen to them. And it's like, look, 9 people said they wanted to have a video on the Tesla. You didn't. Don't watch the video on the Tesla because the 9 people did, right? That's the majority view. So every time, my wife is actually the one who usually puts these up. And every time she asks a question, almost always, it's like unanimous practically. It's almost everybody wants whatever it is she said, should we do this? But there's always 1 or 2 people who don't want it. And then usually one of those people will then let me know later that I should have listened to them. What can I do? Can't make everybody happy. All right. So that was this video. I just was curious what you guys would think if I did that. It's completely possible you'll see some videos on the car coming up anyway. I might throw some stuff on the community. I'm just excited because it's a new car. I haven't had a new car in 6 years. And we don't get new cars very often. The other thing we learned that I shouldn't say we learned this, but it'd be interesting to do the math more on it. When we looked at what it cost for us to own the BMW over the life of the time that we owned it, the cost of the car, the depreciation of the car for, versus what we were able to trade it in on or what it would have been able to sell for. The repair costs, etc. I actually did lease it initially, but even if you took that off and just bought the car, it didn't actually change the math at all. We would have been better off leasing it, turning it back in, and leasing something else. In fact, we might have been better off leasing something else every 3 years, because the cost of ownership per month, I bought it off on a lease because it was in the midst of COVID, the used car thing, when you couldn't get a used car and the prices skyrocketed, and so my buyout price was like nothing compared to what another car would have cost. So we just bought it out. That was the best way to do it. But the smart thing to do might have been to have sold it and been without a car for a year, because then, of course, all that corrected itself rather quickly. We didn't do that, and then the car corrected itself on price, and then it really wasn't worth a lot. So what we realized was that, like, I think I have to look at the numbers again. It was like $400 a month or something like that over the course of the 6 years to have this car. And I didn't pay anywhere near that for the lease. So we would have been better off just releasing another one. In fact, back when that happened, I think they had lease deals that weren't that far off from what I had paid before. The van is looking cheaper, but not that much cheaper. It's over $300 a month. We bought that car outright too, and we bought it used. We didn't buy it new. So it was, I think, a 2-year-old car when we got it with like 35,000 miles on it. And it's now got about 85,000 miles on it. And when I look at what we've paid for repairs and tires and brakes and all that kind of stuff, the whole HVAC system on it died at one point. All the fans, it wasn't like the whole system, but all the fans died. There's 3 of them. It's like $300 and something a month, and you can lease one of those for that. And then you can have a new one every 3 years. And I never thought leases were a good deal until my dad made a comment about it. It was just like that's about a lease payment. And I was like, you're right. Why the hell are we not doing that? So I'm going to keep an eye. We bought this car outright, the Tesla. I'm going to keep an eye on everything price-wise. I'll be curious. Maybe people who lease cars are smarter than I give them credit for. Maybe that really is what we should be doing. All right, well, that's this video. I hope you found this interesting. I didn't actually say anything, but we may have some interesting content. Oh, and for those who are wondering, I have decided I'm going to buy that camera. So I've got the account set up to do it. I'm going to go buy it. And so probably in the next couple weeks, I'll be switching over to the new camera. This is the old one. And then I'll just sell this to help pay for the new one. Plus, if you guys want to make donations through like you guys do to help pay for the camera, that would be appreciated. This is a big unexpected expense. The car was needed. Maybe not this one, but a car was needed. Camera is not, but it's part of what I do. So it helps, and I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.